Hello and welcome to the NavMesh sample position tutorial. In this video, we're going to be learning how to use the action NavMesh sample position to send your NavMesh agents in the right direction even when the target is a little too far off the NavMesh. Let me show you what I mean by that. So in this scene, I have this platform here, this ground game object, and you can see that if I show you the navigation, it goes pretty much around the entire edge like this. Then I have our NPC, that's this arrow. It has a NavMesh agent component on it. So forward is just whatever way the arrow is pointing. And then the target destination, which is this blue star here. So on the NPC, all I have is this simple FSM that starts by getting the position of the star, storing it in this vector 3 called star v3, and then using a set agent destination to send our NavMesh agent toward it. And when the set agent destination is done calculating the path, it sends off here to a wait state, where it just waits 3 seconds and then sends back to loop. So if I press play, see that the arrow just goes there. And of course, if I move this around, every 3 seconds, it should go to the updated position. Okay, so that's working out nicely. But what happens when I take my destination object and I put it over here? See, as I'm moving it around here, this doesn't know what to do with it. You can see that it's going here to get the position, and indeed it is getting the position, but when it sets the destination, nothing is happening. Now that's because the destination is too far off the NavMesh. Again, we'll keep this playing, but if I select the navigation tab, our navigation mesh only extends to the edges of this platform. So our star down here is pretty far off, and our arrow doesn't quite know how to get there. If it was a little closer, you see that if I move this up, kind of bring it over here, you can go to the edge, right? To some of the closest points, right? So it's still not on the NavMesh, but it's at least getting the closest point. And now a way that we can force our NPC to go to the closest edge, just like this, even when our target destination is very far away, is by using the NavMesh sample position action. So I'm going to select this NPC, and over here in this get star position state, I'm going to put in the NavMesh sample position action. Okay, I'm putting it here right after we get the position. So what this action does is it samples the NavMesh closest to the point specified. So what that means is that it's going to look at the position we're trying to get to, and it's going to get the closest point to that on the NavMesh. So in the source position, I'm going to say our star v3, and we'll set this max distance to, let's just say 100. And then down here in the hit information, the position we want to store, we'll just overwrite that star v3. Okay, so what's happening is we're saying, find the closest point on the NavMesh using this position, and then wherever that closest point on the NavMesh is, just write it as our new value here. So that way when we use this set destination, it's using the most up-to-date position that our NPC should go to. Okay, now that action alone should take care of it. So if we take our target and move them way down here again, we press play, okay, you can see that our arrow is going over there. And if I take this target destination, I move it really far down and I move it over here, still our arrow is finding the closest edge of the NavMesh. And that's how you can ensure that your NavMesh agents are always heading to the closest possible position to your targets while staying on the NavMesh. Be sure to check out our other videos to learn all the various features of Playmaker. Links to more learning resources are in the description.